Welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show, a Baxter Professional Services production. Welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show, where we're experts in nursing and experts in business. I'm Tina Baxter, your host. The Nurse Shark Academy Show highlights nurse business owners and others in the healthcare field who promote entrepreneurship. We interview nurse leaders and encourage them to tell their story. Today's special episode is on the history of the Black Nurses Association of Anderson, Indiana, and today's guests are Carlotta Jo Walker and May Gray. Tired of feeling trapped in a job that no longer fulfills you? Is your nursing job no longer the fun-filled adventure you imagined? Find your passion again through nurse entrepreneurship. Step out into the light and come feel the sun. Join the Nurse Shark Academy today at thenurssharkacademy.biz and come feel the sun. Hi, and welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy. This is a special edition of our show. This is for the Black Nurses Association of Anderson, Incorporated. We are going to be talking to some members of the group to get some history on the Black nurses. So let's get started with our Nurse Shark Academy mission. Our mission is to expand the consciousness of nurses as experts to reflect their individual and collective power by promoting self-agency through inspiring nurses to dream big, reach far, and soar to new heights in business and the profession of nursing, thereby producing a healthier and richer society. The Nurse Shark Academy Show highlights nurse business owners and others in the healthcare field who promote entrepreneurship. We interview nurse leaders and encourage them to tell their story. Welcome to the Black Nurses Association of Anderson, Incorporated. We have at this time May Gray and Carlotta Walker, and we're going to just kind of get some information and a little bit of the history of BNAA in Anderson, Indiana. I want to start off with just reading this little portion of the history, and then we'll talk. So the Black Nurses Association of Anderson is an independent nonprofit organization comprised of nurses who live in Anderson and Madison County, Indiana. The association has been in existence for 19 years. In February 1991, several nurses met to discuss the formation of an organization that will provide a forum to implement change in the health care of the minority community of Anderson, Indiana. The first meeting was held on April 21st, 1991 at the Wilson's Boys Club. The founding members were Clarice Blaylock, Rosalind Brown, Pat Finner, May Gray, Mary Hall, Annie Horton, Tara Hunt, Doris Johnson, Linda Johnson, Beth Level, Judy Nave, Joyce Pearson, Mary Smith, Valerie Turner, and Carlotta Jo Walker. And I want to welcome Carlotta Jo Walker and May Gray to the stage. Thank you for coming, ladies.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
So tell me, now the two of you were there at that first meeting. So what made you guys decide to come together to form the Black Nurses Association?
Well, you want to go first, May?
No, you go. You go.
I know what drove me to want to come forward was back at that time, there weren't that many Black nurses participating in the two systems, being St. John's at that time and Community Hospital. So it was almost like a sisterhood where we could meet and share each other's ideals and goals and how we could incorporate and come together and bring new nurses, Black nurses, to our community and to the hospitals, because we wanted to see folks that look like us, because we were taking the majority of our patients were looking like us at that time. So we wanted to bring more Black nurses, get them interested in it, have different things in the community, such as gatherings to let people know that there were in effect a Black Nurses Association, that we were coming together and wanting to improve communication and participation in Madison County.
And what excited me was the fact that we were going to be able to give scholarships so that other nurses could, or potential students could become nurses. And that's exactly what excited me. as well as the fact that, as Carlotta said, that we were going to be able to see others that look like us and be able just to participate in the community, taking blood pressures and being involved in the health fairs and that sort of thing.
So let's take a step back, and this is a question that I often ask our guests on the Nurse Shark Academy show, and I want to ask each of you. So, May, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
What made you become a nurse?
Oh, and I could just remember at age 5 or 6, I have just always wanted to be a nurse. I was one of the older ones in the neighborhood as I was growing up. And I was kind of like the babysitter for the whole neighborhood while our parents went out as I got older. But even when I was very young, I could just, every Christmas, I wanted pills, candy pills to hand out to everybody. My sister wanted to do everybody's hair, so she ended up being a beautician, but I wanted to be a nurse. I just can't remember wanting to do anything else. And so I get these little candy pills and chase people around, try to put them in their mouths and that kind of thing. And I just love to take care of people.
Now, that's kind of funny because there's two things there that I can pick up on. One, that was your desire and your intention from a young child. But the other thing is the fact that there were even candy pills to give people.
There were in little.
We don't have those types of candies anymore.
I know. It was little nurse kits, and they had little candy pills that I can remember. And I was real little, but I remember those. And nobody, of course, wanted them. I don't think they tasted very good, but I was chasing people anyway.
And Joe, how about you? Tell me what made you decide to become a nurse?
Very, very early. I must have been not yet in kindergarten. My mother was a nurse. So she seemed so tall in this white uniform and this cap. And she always was full of joy and laughter and talking about her patients. And it was just so fulfilling to her. And I said, well, whatever she's doing, I like that. And I said, Mommy, I want to be a nurse. So she brought, I can remember, I don't know, I can't remember if it was for my birthday or Christmas. She brought me a little doctor's kit. So I would take my doctor's kit and then I would nurse my doll babies. You know, I would pretend to take blood pressures, and I had a little plastic. I can remember a little tiny plastic stethoscope. And I would listen to their chest. I line them all up and I just play hospital and doctor nurse. And as I grew older, I listened to my mother's stories and how it was just so gratifying to her to be able to help. And I was always a person that loved people and just loved to be around people. And as I just knew I wanted to be a nurse at that time. Even when I went to high school, I minored in college prep and business. And I was a co-op student at General Motors at Plant 18. So I had this great job and I thought I was making a lot of money. And when it came time to go to college, I told my mom I had been accepted. I said, I'm making all of this good money. I want to be a nurse. I don't know what to do. And she said, no problems, no worries. Follow your heart. So I quit my job and went to school to be a nurse. So it was always in me. She said, follow your heart. And that was the thing, because deep down, I wanted to be a nurse. But this money, you know, was enticing me as a young person, getting paid every Friday with all these benefits. I mean, you know, it was tempted. But when she said, I was just struggling with it. And I just said, Mom, what do I do? She said, that's easy. Just follow your heart. So I gave it up and went to nursing school.
You know, that's important. And that's something for our young people who may be listening, is that you can start wherever you are. Right? You can start as a young child, chase people with candy pills. You can see your mom as this nurse superhero, but you start with what your dream is and follow your heart. And then if that's what you want to do, go for it. Don't let anything hold you back. Right. You know, take that time. I remember the first time I saw a professional nurse was watching a TV show, and I don't know if you guys can remember this TV show called Emergency.
Yes.
and it had a Black nurse on it. And I remember watching her on that show. I didn't know all that she did 'cause I was very young, but I saw her in her uniform and I thought, this is amazing. And then they also had like a Black doctor in there that they snuck in there. I remember him. Thank goodness for Antenna TV, because I get to revisit all these shows on that Antenna and Cozy. But yeah, I remember seeing that and seeing her on there and thinking, maybe I could do something in medicine. Maybe I could do something like that. And that, I think, was just a little bit of a nugget that kind of started me on my path to really loving science. Because then my next big hero was Quincy. I always wanted to be Quincy. I planned to be Quincy. I was like, I was going to go work in pathology. But see, Quincy, here's the thing about Quincy, and I work with pathologists. He gets out and talks to people, and not everybody is who's a pathologist goes out to their house and do all this investigation. And I think that's what I liked about it, was the connection that he had with people. Um, and so those things can influence us. Those things that, from a young age, can influence us to what we want to do. So tell me, what was your training like, May, when you became a nurse? Tell me your training journey. How did you get started?
In 1963, I went to Holy Cross, what at that time it was called Holy Cross Central School of Nursing. And we started out, we started out in South Bend, Indiana. After a year, then we went to different affiliations. There was a affiliation that lasted 3 months in Louisville, Kentucky. One was in Indianapolis at Riley. And the third one was back in South Bend at the South Bend Hospital for OB. And that's the way we did it. And then we graduated from South Bend eventually after 3 years. It was a 3-year program then. It is no longer in existence at this point, but it was a very good experience, and it was in the 60s. And for some reason, I don't know whether I was naive or what, but I didn't experience a lot of the racism that I know other people before me did. And that's, that I for some reason, it seems like I was shielded from that, but I had a lot of people around me that helped with that as well.
Okay. So you started out as a diploma nurse?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I did.
And then you went on and got your...
Yes, I went to St. Mary of the Woods College to get my degree. Yes, I did.
And you've since gone back to school. Since you became a nurse, you got another degree, correct?
Yes, in theology. I went to get a theology degree because I love the Bible as well. And so I did that as well. So I have a degree in theology as well.
You have a doctorate in theology, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I do. I usually, I don't know. I usually forget about that, but I do have.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so with your nursing career, you've been able to do a lot of different things, it sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're gonna put a pin in that. Come back to you. So Joe, tell me about your nursing journey.
Well, I went to, after I graduated, I entered to the program where I went to Indiana University to get my prerequisites. Unbeknownst to me, I kind of knew it, but I wasn't paying attention. Nursing, that idea of being a nurse was booming at that time. So once you did your prerequisites at Indiana University at Bloomington, then you had to apply for a spot down at IUPUI at the actual nursing clinicals, for your clinicals. And there was limited spaces, and they took the top C's, like the 4.0s and 4.5. So needless to say, my grades weren't that high. So I didn't get in and didn't anticipate, that. I should have did my research, but I didn't know at the time. I was young. So they said Ball State's waiting list was not as long as getting in at IUPUI. I said I didn't have a lot of time. So I transferred over to Ball State and got in over there. And then I graduated from Ball State University.
Okay. And so, May, you kind of hinted at it, but either of you, this is to throw it out to either of you. What were some of the challenges that you faced while you were in nursing school at that time? Because I could imagine that it was, there were some challenges. Even now, to get into nursing school, there's a challenge, and then to navigate all those different things that you have to do. But I think nursing school was a lot different back then because it was more institutional focus as opposed to more academic focus, meaning that it wasn't all in the university and then you might have some clinical time. It was, my understanding, kind of flipped. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, now after I can remember, we were in class most of the day, and in the evening, we were allowed to work on the units. And at that time, it was like in the 60s, like, as I said, and if we worked 8 hours, we made $1 an hour. So we worked for 8 hours, $8, and we just thought we were just so rich. But now with my parents, so there was some challenges as far as the cost of nursing. So my dad had to get an extra job in order to pay for nursing at that time, but that is what he did. He did that, and after I graduated, I did pay him back. But I just remember making $1 an hour after we were in class all day if we wanted to work. And when I think about that now, I think, oh my goodness, $1 an hour just seemed like we were rich then. But of course we weren't.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what we did until we graduated. And when I graduated, I think the starting salary at St. John's, I think it was like $3.65 an hour. And that was still in the 60s. I mean, we're still in the 60s here. Mm-hmm. And $3.65 an hour. And at the end of a year, it just seemed like a lot of money. But of course, it wasn't then. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
How about you, Joe?
Some of the challenges, I didn't have any far as financially because my parents helped me. However, just being a part of the nursing class, there were some challenges, such as we had specific studying groups, and there was like only 3 Black nurses in my class, and it seemed like we were so isolated. We were always seeking information and missing out on information, and it seemed like it was always a struggle to be a part, to be included. All I can remember, because I think a lot of it I just pushed away, was struggling to be a part. Like they had certain groups that would study on their care plans. They would study together, and it seemed like we were always on our own and disconnected, even when we tried to get connected for some reason, unbeknownst to me, it just didn't happen. And one of the smartest of the 3 of us, we would study together, and I remember her making a D+ on like one of her classes, or it was subjective, and she got put out of the nursing program, and she was literally the smartest one. Wow. Which I couldn't understand. How could this happen? And then once you were out, it wasn't like you can re-enroll. You had to wait and get at the end of the list, the line. And it left us 2 left. So we were just devastated because she was our cheerleader. She was the strongest in science and math and chemistry. Because back then we didn't take biochemistry. We had to take the same chemistry that the doctors were taking. And, we had the microbiology and all. So it was just us 3 kind of huddling together to get through the program. And that left us 2. And it seemed as though we were always struggling to be a part. That's all I can remember. And then I remember we went to our pinning, the 2 of us, and we were really close. And when it came to graduation, I felt so traumatic. I didn't even want to go to my graduation. My parents said, I was the first one to graduate from college. And they said, aren't you going? I said, I have my diploma. I graduated. I was just unfortunately done.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful that we made it through, but I remember burning or tearing up my little blue the little uniform we had to wear
Mm-hmm.
while we were in undergraduate in nursing. I remember just throwing it away. I was like done. So it wasn't the best experience, but God's will, we made it through because the two of us stuck together. We did what we had to do. We were going to continue in our dreams. We weren't going to let anybody stop us. Was it the easiest thing? No. Was it the most pleasant thing? No, but God saw us through it. And it's been an awesome, I can tell you today, an awesome career. The nursing, is part of God's healing ministry, and I wouldn't change it for a moment because I loved every bit of it. There was always challenges, but God had a plan for us, and it didn't stop us, didn't stop me. Could continue to do what God, we were doing it for God in his
Mhm.
healing ministry. And that's what kept us going. The Black nurses, we would network, hold each other up, support us. It was trying times, but what do I want to say? We made it through. We made it through. And I am proud of it. And I'm proud of my nursing colleagues and all those who helped me along the way. And I'm going to tell you, I had I love Caucasian nurses that I love. They mentored me. They took me by the hand. And thank God for those nurses. Thank God for
Mhm.
those nurses who chose to mentor me and make me feel inclusive in my nursing history. And
Mhm.
those nurses know who they are, and they know I love them, and I still talk to them.
Well, I'm gonna say, first of all, thank you both of you for sharing your story, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show, was so that nurses could tell their stories, because we missed some of that. And as you're talking about the isolation that you felt in your program, I could relate to that because I had somewhat of a similar experience. I went to Anderson University, and there weren't, I don't even remember if there were any Black nurses when I went to school at Anderson University, to be honest with you. But what I do remember is that the class before us was very high strung. They were the ones that would fight over every grade. And our class looked at them, and we were a smaller class, and we said, we're not going to do that. We're not going to beat them. We're going to make sure everybody wins and everybody gets. So we actually had our own study group for our cohort. And we met at, I remember, never forget, we always met like Perkins and Waffle House and to study for exams together.
That's
And
good.
having that support from my peers was key. But I also know that when I got out to work and I'm on the floor and I'm in clinical, it was having the support of nurses like you that helped me. Being able to see nurses like you out there and working and taking me alongside and cueing me in on what's happening, because we're young, naive. We don't know what's happening with the
Right.
political stuff that can happen in the hospital. So how did you navigate those political hurdles of working in the hospitals?
I like to answer that first because I had a couple of mentors, like May was before me and Mrs.
Mhm.
Barber was before me. So thank God they were in place when I was there. So I felt like I had a connection. I felt like I belonged because they were always for me. If there was a challenge, I could always go and speak to them and they would give me guidance. They would mentor me along. And I praised Mrs. Barber over and over in May because with them there, I felt safe. I felt I felt that I was loved, and my patients made me feel like I was needed and I had God on my side. So, and I, like I said, I had a few other nurses uh that were non-color Caucasian, I'll just say. I want to be politically correct because but I had a couple of those folks that also mentored me. They saw that it was in my heart. They saw that it was my passion to do good work. and they took me by the hand also. And they just made it pleasant for me. And there was others that didn't want to make it so pleasant, but I focused on those who were positive, those who were present, and those who had the same goals that I did, is was to give the patients excellent care. And we couldn't do that unless we mentored each other and shared information and helped each other along. So we had a common goal. And I thank God and thank them for that.
Mm-hmm. And I had most of the nurses were pretty good with me. And also, I just have to honor the nursing assistants who did help me a lot too. There were a lot of nursing assistants that helped me a lot. They had their own families. They still invited me to their family picnics, that sort of things. And also the nurses as well. And we are still friends today. And I worked for 35 years as a nurse, and I have been retired for 30, oh, not for 30, for 23 years. I've been retired 23 years, and we still keep in touch. There have been some that are deceased along the way, but for the most part, we still keep in touch, and they still invite me to different things that they do have. And so it's been, as Joe says, a lifelong experience of just really loving nursing. I think it's just one of the best professions ever. And it has also helped me in my family life. And I still have a lot of people calling me today, as I'm sure Carlotta does, to family members and friends for advice as to what to do for this condition, what to do for that condition, and just advice in general about general health. So we love that. And we love being in the Black Nurses Association, especially in health fairs. We can take someone aside and specifically answer their specific questions. In fact, I had someone even at church this morning that said, I need to talk to you after church. And she had a medical question. So we are lifelong nurses, never quits. And it's fine with me.
But there's a little joke out there that says, once you're a nurse, you're always a nurse. We don't let you out. We're kind of like the mafia. And so there's that running joke out there. And I think it's true. Most of us that have been nurses, it's not something you can turn off.
Right.
You're a nurse to the day you die. And I've seen nurses in the nursing home who were residents, and they still wanted to get up and help. They still wanted to work.
Yes.
And so some of them would follow me, and we would make rounds together. And I had one that would sit there in her chair, I'll never forget it, and will point out to the nurses everything that they were doing wrong when they were doing their med pass, because she used to be a nursing instructor.
Yeah.
And she would say,
That's
you're
funny.
not doing your 5 rights.
Yes.
I would get a kick out of that.
And I'm always washing my hands all the time, and my little 8-year-old granddaughter, she's like, Mimo, you're washing your hands all the time. She says, oh, I forgot. It's the nurse in you. She'll put it like, it's the nurse in you. Yeah, it's the nurse in me. So I've got her pretty paranoid about that now.
Well, how many of us knock on every door before we go in? I do it all the time. I knock on the door before I go in anytime. Yep.
Yep. Do.
Yeah.
So here's the mission of the Black Nurses. I want to read this because I want to kind of delve in a little bit about the background and what the important work that the Black Nurses provides in this community. So the mission statement is to provide an environment to facilitate the career advancement and professional development of nurses in Anderson and Madison County. The BNAA has a wide span of nurses from almost every area across the continuum of healthcare. Therefore, we are committed to mentoring and supporting nursing students in any nursing program. And so how do you live that out as part of the Black Nurses Association?
Joe could probably answer that a little better. I have been retired so long, but I do still encourage young people into nursing, even though I'm not actively working in a building right now. I still encourage them into nursing. So, Joe, what do you do?
Well, as far as the public, John Q. public, when I see little girls, especially at church, and I always ask the children, "What do you want to be when you grow up? What do you?"
Mm-hmm.
And if they're indecisive, and I said, "Do you care?" I ask them questions. You care about people. You care about helping people, and I try to see if they will be a fit for nursing, because nursing, it has to be in your bones.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not something, okay, I'm going to be a nurse, I'll have a job, because some people have that perception. I want to be a nurse because I know I can get a job. And then when I've spoken like at different events, like nursing events, we had like, we used to have those career days. Remember back in the day, way back when, not so much now, but when I would be a part of the career day and they say, well, I want to be a nurse. I said, well, why do you want to be a nurse? Well, they get paid good money and you always have a job. I said, that's not a reason why you should want to be a nurse. A nurse is a lot more than just getting paid good wages or having a job. I said, it's not an easy job and it has to be inside you, because you're caring and you have to truly care about what you do and care about people. And so those are some of the ways I just kind of interviewed and sift through things and let people know that nursing is just not a job. It has to be a passion. Like I said, it has to be in your bones or you won't last. And that's why a lot of these young folks now, they get in it and they change their professions or they quit or they go to the doctor's office or whatever, because nursing is a wide spectrum of giving of yourself, of your time, your patience, your love. You have to love. And people know when you love what you're doing. People know when you're genuine, and they know when you're just going through the paces. So I always try to question people and just just ask them more questions, give them something to think about. Is this something I really want to do? I tell them about the beauty of nursing that I've experienced and the flexibility and the different opportunities. Yes, that's all there. But if it's not in your heart and in your bones, you're not going to have a career.
I know. And it's like a ministry.
Yes,
it is like a ministry.
definitely. I would
And
say
I also tell people that who are saying that they want to be a nurse, I always make sure that they choose someone, their life partner, whoever he or she may be, to make sure that they know that if you work 3 to 11, you won't get off at 11. You might get off at 1 a.m.
Yes.
And that they have to be understanding, because if they're not, then that relationship is definitely not going to work. I always make sure that they know that ahead of time.
I think it's important for young people who are considering nursing to know that, yes, there's so many different things you can do in nursing,
Yes.
so many different specialties, so many different avenues, so many different schedules. You have to find what works for you. I always say, if you're not happy as a nurse in your current job, leave your job, but don't leave your profession. You can always find some way to do your nursing a different way. And over the years, some of the things that I've seen the Black nurses participate in were like the health fairs at the Black Expo, the Anderson Black Expo, out there for the community block parties put on by the police department. I remember one year we were in Oktoberfest. I don't even know how we got into that one, but we got invited to Oktoberfest to take blood pressures. We used to have a trailer out at the Black Expo selling hot dogs. I remember that. And the bees, I do remember that. And I remember that, people still look for the Black nurses. They're still looking for us. I can't tell you how many times I get people who say, hey, what's BNAA doing? Is BNAA going to be at? I always get that. Is BNAA going to be doing something? And so that's very encouraging, is that we are well known in the community as being a participant in the healthcare of our community. And so one of the biggest things that we did for 2022 was getting the city to declare racism as a public health threat.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's so important because as nurses, we're advocates for the community, for the health of our community. And I think of how we make such a big difference. If you go all the way back to the very beginning of nursing and you look at people like Mary Seacole, for example. Mary Seacole was a contemporary of Florence Nightingale. Not many people know that. Mary Seacole was the one that would serve the soldiers during several wars. And she was actually on the battlefield. You see, what they didn't know was that while Florence Nightingale, and no offense to Flo was actually at another city, at another encampment away from the battle, but Mary Seacole, my Mother Seacole, as they called her, was right there on the field with the soldiers. And so we have those shoulders that we stand on as nurses. And we have to do a much better job of giving our commitment and telling our story and letting our voices be heard. We have one other person who's chiming in. So hold on. I'm going to pause the recording for a minute. As soon as I figure out how to do that. Pause. Awesome. All right. So as we get ready to wrap up, I just wanted to bring this up because we kind of talked about this and hinted at it. But this is a program from one of the scholarship teas from 2011. Can you believe that? October 2011. And our theme was staying healthy in times like these. And at this particular scholarship tea, it was noted that over the past 20 years, at that time, we have awarded over $20,000 in scholarship monies to nursing students. And so at that time, it was our 16th year of giving scholarships. And we had a scholarship that we were giving away. And I want to say this. Yes. We had the scholarships that we had one from the Muslim physicians of Madison County. Also participated and gave us a scholarship. But I think that this is when we had the very first BNAA scholarship. We had the John Woodall scholarship at that time as well. We've since turned it into the Beth Level Memorial Scholarship that we give away. And at one of these events, we actually gave a special scholarship away for graduate nursing students. And so I just want to say that, one of the things that we do as members of the Black nurses is that we support nursing students and wanting them to be able to further education. May, you talked about the little bit of struggles that you had in getting your education with your father having to take in a second job and things like that, and how great it would have been if there had been a BNAA for you back then so that he wouldn't have to do that we could provide scholarships for. So let's talk about the importance of providing for the next generation. Anyone?
I just think that we should try to get younger nurses into the BNAA as well. And we have been trying, and it's been, we've had a difficult time trying to get members in, but I think it would be very nice. And if we could continue to have scholarships given each year, continue to have fundraising projects as well to do this, and to ask for personal donations so that someone else could follow behind us, because I'm really an advocate of that. I was one of the evening supervisors, and I was training someone to take my job, and she developed a disease and she had to quit. and she was a Black nurse working in critical care, and I just I was grooming her to take my job over. I ended up with someone else, which was fine, but I just wanted to. I just think it's so important for us to groom other nurses to follow us, follow in our footsteps as well.
Yes. Joe, did you have anything to add?
Well, yeah, I think our organization plays a vital role in the community to, one, identify the nurses that are going to be graduating and to help support them, not only financially, but emotionally. And that's why it's important to become a member of the Black Nurses Association, because we network, we share our experiences to let them know they may have some challenges, but they're very small challenges in regards to what the bigger outcomes are down the road. So we need to be there to share that information, that they are worthy, they are needed, and they do have support, be it financially or emotionally, because as being in the Black Nurses Association, that's what it's done for me. Not only does it provide monetary rewards and providing for that lack of education or lack of funds, I'm sorry, but it's also to feed that mental health, the mental health of our new nurses, the young nurses, to guide them so they won't give up, to let them know they are on the right path, to follow your dreams, to ask yourself, is it your passion? Because I know at not one time did I say I was going to quit. And I had a lot of, what I want to say, obstacles thrown before me. But when you're determined and you know where you're going, bing, you just squash them and keep moving. And we need to let the youngins know that, because it seems as though they tend to give up, if they don't have that support. That's why it's important for them to come to us and let them know it's okay. Life isn't a bowl of cherries. Mm-hmm. What don't kill you make you stronger. So we have to raise them up and give them that you can do it, and prop them up when they need to be propped up emotionally, so they can continue to be on their journey and conquer their dreams. So it's very important. I think the BNAA has played that role. It's played it for me, and we want to be there for the youngins coming up to steer them in the right way, give them financial support, give them the mental support, and be there for them in our community as a whole, and be there for our people in our community. Because as you know, Tina, you're a statistician, you have all the stats and you do an awesome job. Our health report in the Black community is not that good.
Yes.
And you're always striving, and I commend you for that. You're out there, your voice is there saying what we need our equity. We need the opportunity to do better in our community, not just us. The leaders that we serve in this community should come in and help also. But I want to thank you for all that you're doing. And we, as a member of Black Nurses, should be there for, and you are a member also, our community, so we can help communicate the needs of the community, be there for our community to serve them, just like we just did not too long ago at the Geter Center. We were there to take blood pressures, but it ended up being more. We started talking about nutrition, what our bodies needed. So we did almost a little mini health fair at that time. We intended on just doing some blood pressures, but we got to talking about how important nutrition is and eating the right things to fuel our bodies so we could perform the way we need to perform. So I was very excited about that. And that's what excites me about the Black nurses. We're here in the community and we want to serve, and we want our community health to improve.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank you both for your time. And I have one last question. I promise. One last question. If you had one piece of advice to give either to a nursing student or a brand new nurse, what would it be?
For a brand new nurse, never be afraid to ask questions.
And never give up.
All right. Well, there they said it all. I want to thank you for your time. This has been May Gray and Carlotta Joe Walker with the Black Nurses Association of Anderson Incorporated. This is Tina Baxter. I'm your host for the Nurse Shark Academy show. This is part one of our series on honoring the Black Nurses of Anderson. And this is also Nurses Week and Nurses Month. So I want to say thank you to all the wonderful nurses that are out there. So when this show, whatever this show is producing out there, I still thank you for all the work that you do and for showing up every day for our patients. We thank you. With that being said, I'm going to say goodbye for now, and thanks for tuning in to the Nurse Shark Academy. Don't forget to like, subscribe to our show. Watch us on YouTube. You can get us on Podbean or wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for being with us today. Goodbye for now.
Thank you, Tina.
Bye. Thanks, Tina.
Nurses, are you ready for more? My mission is for you to own your seat at the table of nurse entrepreneurship, gaining confidence, skills, and the freedom to live your life on your own terms. Assisting you in achieving your goals through tailored advice, continuous learning, and a collaborative approach is at the heart of everything I do. Stop being eaten alive. Come feel the sun. Be a nurse shark.
Thank you for listening to the Nurse Shark Academy show wherever you get your podcasts or watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you'll know when all of our episodes come out. If you want further information, you can contact us on the nursesharkacademy.biz.